Hey guys, welcome to Rehab Garage. Today I'm going to be dismantling the SR20 to see what's damaged inside of it and to see if it's actually usable at all.
Oh, this is slightly awkward, I guess. Welcome to 3 months in the future. Let me get you guys up to date. It's been 3 months since I've put out a video, and I've actually been sitting on some footage, which is even worse. I could have kept you guys a little bit up to date sooner. But, as you're going to see from today, there's some footage in here of me tearing down the motor. I did indeed tear it down, and I took it off to a Taku garage in Queensland for them to get it machined, and needless to say, things escalated. So I ended up buying a rebuild kit off them anyway, with CP forged pistons, spool rods, that sort of stuff. But in addition to that, I ended up buying a whole heap of Tomei cams, cam gears, that sort of thing, because I figured while it's being machined, may as well just do it once, do it properly. So there's a bunch of stuff been happening with that. Because I got a bunch of parts from Japan, so Nismo, Tomei, that sort of thing, there was a bit of a delay getting them over here, so there was a bit of delay getting all the engine machined and everything done, but I should have it back shortly. In the meantime, I've been grinding away on a few little projects.
In the shed now, I've got a new TIG welding setup, and I've been trying to teach myself as best I can how to TIG weld. So these are a lot of the good practices that I've had. You know, some are pretty crap, some aren't too bad. You know, like those. I haven't treated these with anything, so they're probably all going to rust up and look crap after a while, but that was where I started. And this is what I've started making for the wastegate, so practice has pretty much paid off. Inside not so good, but you know, not bad for a first attempt really, as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely a lot more welding practice going to happen soon, I can assure you of that. So here you can see I've started tearing down the SR20. The idea here I actually had was to tear it completely down and have a look at the insides, but once I saw all the cake and oil and stuff like that inside of it, I decided just to take it into a shop to get machined and worked on and all cleaned up. Once I had a quick look inside of it, I knew I wasn't going to be able to just slap an engine together myself. Throughout this whole time, I'm taking as much time as I need to bag everything up and label and mark it as I go, just to make my life easier when I'm reassembling everything later on. Seriously guys, you should really do this if you're ever pulling something down in your garage. So moving on to the engine rebuild info. I've dropped it off and it got all pulled apart. I found quite a lot of old oil and crap inside. So it ended up getting bathed, cleaned, and you know, all the crap cleaned out of it, decked and honed. As I said in the intro, I ordered spool forged rods, I-beam rods, with up fasteners, CP pistons, a kinetic head gasket, and just going down through, you know, the rest of the stuff that I had to get. I went for ACL bearings for the mains and big ends, ARP head stud kits, Tomei pond cams, adjustable cam gear for it.
Trying to make my life easier in the long run.
I also had to get a new VCT cam gear because the old one had a lot of oil and crap. I got a Tomei oil block adapter to run an external oil filter. Got a Ross harmonic balancer. Got a Tomei oversized oil pan just to have a little bit of, you know, extra oil capacity just in case. Nismo thermostat. New lifters from Nissan. A new oil pump. New water pump. I got a billet timing chain tensioner rather than the old hydraulic one, which are prone to failure on the old SR20s. Watch as the intake kind of disappears now. GoPro ran out of batteries in between takes there. I'm not even sure if I'm going to run this alternator at this point either, since it looks like a good swap is to go to an LS alternator, which are actually really easily available here in Australia, so it's quite a cheap, good option for me. One of the things I've been working on in the background over the last few months is the engine wiring harness. I'm running the engine off a Haltech Elite 1000. It came with a adapter loom that goes from the stock harness into the Haltech Elite plugs. I decided to repin the stock harness with Haltech Elite plugged straight on it. So I spent about 3 or 4 weeks working after my normal job in IT, adapting the harness to suit. I also added in a few new sensors like ethanol content sensors and like Bosch fluid pressure and temperature sensors for oil and fuel. I also deleted wiring out of the harness that I no longer needed, just to simplify things. The harness that I got is an S13 harness, which made connecting into the fuse boxes quite simple, but it was missing things like the VCT cam gear, so I've had to add in like a VCT trigger wire onto the ECU. I've also decided to ditch the stock O2 sensor and use a Haltech wideband instead, so I added that to the loom too.
Looking a bit ordinary in there. Lots of old oil and shit. I don't think I'm actually going to pull it down any further from here. I think I'm just going to drop it off at the professionals, let them deal with it.
And they still are. Anyway, moving on to the turbo. I think I'm on to my 3rd turbo setup now, including the stock setup that came on this SR20. As you would have previously seen, I was going to swap it out with a low mount manifold and GT28 RS turbo. However, since the build plans have escalated, so have my turbo plans. A little bit of context to what's happening here. The car came with some cheap aluminium wheel nuts on it when I got it. They're getting thrown in the bin and replaced with really good quality GK Tech black steel extended wheel nuts. So back to the new turbo setup. The turbocharger I've got on order, it's been back ordered for months now, is a Garrett GT25 550. This is one of their newest generation of turbochargers, and from what I hear is quite a good turbo for the SR20s, especially if you're only after moderate power goals like myself. Teamed up with that turbo, I purchased a high mount 6-boost V-band manifold. And as you would have saw at the start of this video, I've got a Gen 5 Turbo Smart 45mm wastegate on that. So previously it was internal gate, now it's external gate. My goal is to build the dump pipe for it, since you can't get anything off the shelf. That's one of the reasons why I'm learning how to weld, other than just generally interested in learning how to weld. But I'm hoping I'll be able to DIY that part of the project. Right, here we go, reattaching the stock reinforcement bar that came on the car. This one's a modified stock one. I have a more complete one as well, but for now this one's going to do the job. Of course, I'm taking the time to get all this done now, so I can correctly fit up all the intercooler piping and
I've slowly been working on the intercooler piping, trying to get it to fit up into there. Up in here, it's a bit of a tight fit. I've had to undo the whole washer bottle there to get it going, but I'm confident that that's going to work. It's really tucked up in there, like I've only just got enough gap there. The hose clamps, started chopping up this side to try and get the intercooler piping to go up through there. The Just Jap stuff had a 2.5 to 2 inch reducer right here that's supposed to join up to the factory piping, which I obviously don't have. So I'm going to run 2.5 inch all the way up through and to the new turbo. Unfortunately, since I don't have a motor yet, and I also actually don't have a turbo yet, it's still on back order 3 months later.
Was it lighting your way home? A beacon in the sky, guiding you along. I can hear your footsteps as they echo in the night. It makes me wonder, where did we go wrong?
From here on out, the video is just a bunch of clips that I recorded of me repairing various things for when the engine comes back and I can start putting the car back together. I've decided to stick with the standard clutch fan to start with at least. I've added wiring into my Haltech loom for a ECU controlled electric fans in the future if I want to go that way, but I figured there was no harm in trying the stock fan for a start, especially with this little upgrade.
Nismo! Clutch sleeve, clutch bearing, clip, spring retainer, so genuine spring retainer from this one. Tail shaft bolts and nuts, very handy. Clutch fork. Okay. Fresh.
Hanging in the ether. I got my thought reader set to max. Feeling strangely disengaged. I gotta take some time to relax. And all these thoughts around me, humming, haze and burning glow. And now I got but I'm falling. I know I got my ears shut, but I'm hearing every word you're saying. I know I got my eyes tight. All I see is you tonight. I know that I can't touch you, but I'm feeling you. Standing on the corner, wondering how my feet got wet. It's funny what you can't remember.
Old versus new.
And it's funny what you can't forget. And all these words around me, they are pressure to the ground. I know I got my mouth shut, but I'm holding you. I know I got
Today I'm going to fit one of these guys from DK Tech. So these are return springs for your shifter. They come with a couple of new caps in there as well. First, this is a 27mm socket. You need to get to these ones right here on either side of the shifter. There's one on each side. You can't see the other one, obviously. It's the size of the spring that just fell out on the other side. So I'm going to go for one of the big ones out of the kit. And these seem to be the hardest. Start with those.
so you were choosing. Take my heart and take my hand, take me to your promised land. Hold your hand, hold your heart, hold my soul from the start. Yeah. If you never look for sound, how do you know what you found? Yeah. Breathing hard and breathing soft, breathing like a lovely sigh. Yeah. Calling out your name.
Thanks for sticking with me this far, guys. This has probably been the longest video I've made in Rehab Garage history. My schedule only allows me to probably spend about 12 hours every fortnight in the garage, so this is a bit of a slow-moving project, but stick with me. There's some exciting things coming up when I get the motor back and whatnot. There's going to be a bit of movement happening. I've also still got to sort out a few little things with my fuel system in the engine bay. Going to, of course, continue to practice my welding and work on the intercooler piping as much as I can. Anything I can tackle while I don't have parts, I'm just going to try and make my way through. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch everybody next time on Rehab Garage.